you for joining me today. We're going to do with supporting professional athletes' performance in sport, and I want to share with you the kind of like the protocol that I have put together to help this type of people and this type of profession. Okay, so we're going to start here with opening our amazing system, class 64. So let's get started. So right now, as you can see, I just opened the class 64, and we have like very amazing panels in here to support professional athletes. Okay, so I'm going to quickly create a new client. So we're going to go here onto demographics, and I'm going to create this client. I'm going to put test, and because I want to connect this with what we're working, I'm going to write test professional athletes, okay, performance support. Okay, so in here I'm going to put only 8 glasses of water. Then we're going to click under patient data, new patients. We see in here that the name transfer into this screen. I'm going to leave it on today's date. In case that I'm working on a specific person, I will use here the date of birth, or if they have, like, for example, let's say a specific game on a specific day and time that they are preparing for, we can also put in here that day. Okay, so place of birth, because right now this is just a test, I'm going to put Toronto, Canada, or we can put like planet Earth. Okay, so I'm going to save current patient, save, and now we close here. I'm not going to go into the biorhythm because we want to make sure to have a very clear result on the test. So you can either select any of the matrix that you feel comfortable with. So right now I'm going to use the chronic focus matrix. Okay, and we're going to click here on the fast track to start the calibration. So this is the basic steps to start any session. Okay, so we're going to sit in here. There we go. So during the basic calibration, we are literally connecting, and we're also scanning kind of like the energy that is always surrounding the client. So we're going to see also if there are any like interferences. Sometimes we have in there geopathic interferences, and with calibration what we actually do is that we can detect those, and the system will automatically like send other frequencies to kind of like not only correct but also kind of like to create an energetic field that is going to protect the client, and that is going to allow us to go into a better reading of that client energetic field. So basically what we're doing is creating that protection, like an energetic protection field, to allowing us to have that better reading and a better result. Okay, so we're going to click here on OK to close the calibration. So we're going to proceed to the test. You want to close the calibration, so we click yes. And now we're going here on the test page. So some people like to call this the test page. I like to refer this to as the matrix. Okay, and then we click here on prepare test, and then we're going to click here under test. Okay, 3 minutes and a half. So I guess I am connected to the box. Okay, so I just realized that my device, it is indeed connected to the box. So what I'm going to do is that in the next different panels that we're going to be using, I'm not going to click test, because then it's going to take a lot of time. Okay, so sorry about that. Let me see here. Okay, perfect. So right now I always like to literally take my time, or take this time, to do 3 things. One, make sure that my client is well hydrated, and if they're not, usually I'll step out of my office and I'll go and get them a glass of water. I will use also different things in my office to allow them to really get a kind of like debrief. So I usually put like candles. I also have like different dim lights, background music, everything that I can to create that type of a space and environment that will invite them to start relaxing. And if I'm conducting a virtual session, then during this time I will also leave them alone so they don't have or they don't feel the pressure to talk to me during this time. So I will tell them, you can close your eyes, you can lay down in your, if you're in your couch, you can lay down, or if you're sitting, you can close your eyes, make sure don't cross your legs, and try to relax as much as possible. Okay, so also here in the bar hope, especially when I'm working with professional athletes, I will take a very good look at the bar hope and the rest frequency path. Okay, so let me just, okay, so in here we know that the rest frequency path should always be below like it shouldn't be like above like 15,000. Sometimes I have seen these like between, I'll say like 20 to 30,000 and things like that. So that indicates that there is a lot of nervousness, or sometimes it's under physical attack. So if that is the case, I will take note of that and I will go to the respective panels to work that out. So you can work that out under the universal panel. You can also work that out in the BMS. You can also work that out in the NLP. Okay, so those are all obviously in the main matrix as well. Like, you know, that everything that you're thinking of, the kind of like the go-to place is always the main matrix. So the other thing in here that when working with athletes, I like to keep an eye on is in hydration and oxygenation. Okay, so we see in here that the oxygen is quite low. So for this, I would probably recommend to go into the universal panel, and we can work on the max treatments and bar hope, just to make sure that we can re-equilibrate all of this. Okay, so we're gonna close in here, load with suck. Okay, in here I'm not going to spend a lot of time in the main matrix, and you can always do your basic steps when you're starting to work with any clients. So basic steps will go probably to go here into organ generator, and you can do it in any particular order that you prefer. So in here I will type anything that is relevant for in this case. So sometimes I like to go in here onto the research, open the next Nelson report, right? Make a Nelson medicine report, and I will look in here the affirmation that we have. So you can use this affirmation or you can create your own. In this case, I'll do a combination of both. Okay, so I'm going to write, I listen to nature's communication. So I'll go here into the organ generator and I'll put it in here. Okay, in here you can set it up, like I like to set it up on 250, and we're going to click spiritual harmony and interactive and activate the organ field. Usually this doesn't take a lot of time, so we're gonna close in here. But in here under phaser, you can also go into here where it says add more patients to the subspace treatment, and if you're working with a team, you can write all the names of the team players in here. Okay, in this case I'm working with a professional tennis player, so he's usually performing by himself. So what I can do is that we can add his name in here, and we can put we can type down positive affirmations like I see myself winning the next game, okay, or I see myself performing well, I see my body and kind of like my mind and my body are well connected and well coordinated, so I can perform well in the next game. All of those are suggestions. Okay, so we're going to close in here. I'm going to go to the risk profile, although right now I'm not going to treat the risk. This is kind of like the go-to step, so I always go to the risk profile. I don't know if you noticed, but every time you start the program, the system, which is like your partner, always gives you hints, and you can always check here for the messages. He's guiding you like where to go. So after the test is completed, it's telling you now you can proceed to the risk screen or therapy. So he's giving you options. It's right here at the bottom. Okay, so because he gave me options, I went to the risk screen and I'm going to check in here. Okay, so I see cholesterol, kidney, liver, and also cardiovascular. This is very important when we are doing sports, so we're going to support that. Sensory, hydration, hypoadrenia. So because I see hypoadrenia in here, then I will keep in the back of my mind, or I can write it down in a piece of paper or in the document that I always use, that when I open a dictionary disease, I can support this by working on stress depleted adrenals. Okay, so we can treat it in here, or from here we can click here to go to therapy, and the primary disease we're going to paste the actually like the risk. Okay, and under the organ relations in here we can put all, or if we know, for example, in this case, that because it's a sporty person, he needs like a lot of coordination. Okay, I'm multitasking in here. Oh, I have someone in here. Okay, I just allow Dina to join us. Okay, so because we are working with an athlete, we can check in here how are the muscles and how are the extremities. Okay, so right here we can see that the lateral leg, it's at 40, so this means that, and also here if you see like all the upper limb, right, is needing support. So because I always like to give options, we can decide either to write down all the limbs that are needing for support, or we can select the three, like the three, I'll say like highest from this list and the three lowest from this list. And what we can do is that we can just type like the matrix numbers, right? So I'm going to proceed to type the matrix numbers. So 6, 8, 90, and then 3, 5, 20, okay, and then 35, 19, 35, 27, and 35, 40. Okay, so what I did is that I literally just copy in those, and I'm going just to put it in here to show you. I'm going to bring all this information with me into Universal. So right now, the other thing that I'm going to do is that I always like to bring all this information into the info report. Okay, so I'm going to put them in here, so later on I can also provide treatment for this and rectify them. Okay, we're going to open the background programs as well, so we can support and we can start activating those. So we're going to open the DGen scan and the disease dictionary. I got used to working with 4 disease dictionaries, but I don't know if you noticed, in order for you to open the 4 disease dictionaries, you need to wait for the first one to fully charge. If you click like multiple times opening disease dictionary like this without waiting for the first one to fully charge, you're going to get an error. Okay, and then you have to click OK, wait, and then start all again. Okay, so do I have 4? Oh, I need one more. Okay, perfect. The other thing is that I like to work with the emotions. Okay, so we're going to double check in here everything that is under 60. Okay, so there is emotional tension. So what I'll do is that I'll keep record of the emotions that I think that are related. I see there is a lot of frustration, there is rationalization, and because of the value, we know the value, this one is like 11, need to change 13, 15 on frustration. So this means that there's a lot of emotions in here that they have been out of balance for a long time. Okay, so there is resentment, there is sadness, unrealistic. Okay, so we can pick in here what are the ones that we feel that are blocking this professional athlete from succeeding. Okay, blocking this professional athlete for actually like winning or having a very good performance. Okay, so I'm going to work on the frustration, because in my case, this is kind of like my personal way of thinking. Like if you want to succeed in any sport, I think there's no room for frustration, because we need to accept that sometimes you need to be able to perform without thinking whether or not you're going to win or lose. Or basically, if you're playing, you need to have a mentality that you're winning, right? Or that you're going to win. That's the whole reason why you're playing. So the other thing in here that I feel is quite interesting in the main matrix that we also need to balance out is that when we are here on the matrix, go into under the list of compounds, and in here we will go into the living 13, and in here we have quite interesting things that is going to pretty much show you where the mind of the person is, or the connection of the soul, the mind, and the body. So everything is under 16. That means that he's not able to silence his mind, to be at peace. This one is a 43, so it's not that bad. It's very close to 60. But if we see in here, the way I see myself with a greater vision, it's on 12, the value. So that means probably this specific athlete is having a very hard time to be able to see himself like winning and achieving and having a wonderful performance. Okay, so the way we can support this is that we can either bring all of this into the info box, or we can also bring these values. If we want this to work throughout the session, we can select in here the ones we think are the ones that he needs the most. I will probably take like the two lowest and the two highest numbers, and I'll bring this into the universal so we can pair it with the Schumann wave throughout the session. Okay, so give me a second. I'm going just to type down these numbers. So 10,402, and then we have 10,404, 10,407, and then 10,408, 10,499. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to bring those in here so later on I can sap them as well. Okay, and from here we're going to go to the universal panel, and we're going to bring the numbers from the organs. Remember that that we selected all the limbs that need support, so we're going to paste that in here under organ relation. And now we are going to also bring the codes from the main matrix of the emotions that we need to support, and also all the remedies from the light 13. So we're going to paste it in here under emotional blockage. Okay, also we're going to click here under add to Schumann wave to activate this. This is going to work as a kind of like in the background throughout the entire hour. Okay, so other things that are always a good idea to keep in mind is that we can open the sinus pack, okay, which is a wonderful tool. I always use this and I love it because it's going to allow us to navigate through the program very quickly. Okay, under here, well, there's many things that we can see, but we can always go here under piggyback, right? And in here is going to tell us right away what are the circles that need support and what are the blockages. So other things that I like to do in every session is these circles and these blockages. I usually will also add them in here. Okay, the other thing is that we have emotional concerns in here, so I will do exactly the same. I'm going to bring all the emotional concerns into here, and they're going to be working as piggybacks throughout the session. Okay, let me take care of the time. Okay, perfect. So because we noticed that the bar hope needs to be balanced, what I will suggest is that we always look in here, what are the therapies that this person is requesting, keep a note on that, and when we will balance that out. So for the time being, I'm not going to follow the suggestions right now because I want to proceed as quick as possible through the entire program. Okay, so right now I'm going to open the auto meridian analogy and close it or hide it just for the max treatment to pop out. Once I have this, we can click max treatment, click OK twice, and then type in I am responsible for this new panel to show up. Now we're going to click here 5 times, okay, for you to be able to activate any of the max treatments. In here, I will literally go into auto bar hope to be able to correct like the water balance and oxygen balance in the body in order before proceeding to the other panels. Okay, so once you click in here, usually these 3 they have different timings. Like auto riff takes about 7.5 minutes. Auto bar hope, it really depends because sometimes it will continue to work out until it will balance everything. So sometimes this one can be between 4 to 5 to 7 minutes, and then the auto trivector usually is between 6 to 8 minutes as well. Okay, so we're going to hide in here, and let's imagine that I have done the auto bar hope. Okay, so we're going to click here. The other thing in here that is very good for supporting athletes' performance is under the FREC panel. So we're going to activate frequency modulation program, click OK, and then okay, so right here, think about that when we need to work anything that is like NLP, like negative belief, things that are pretty much like core to our bones and the way we think of, it's a very good idea to, one of the first things to do is to work here under the subspace morphic trance. So we click start, and you'll see like the in here the different polymorphic areas where you can work on. Okay, so just allow me one sec. Let me just double check in here. It's just that I don't feel comfortable that the device is connected, and I feel that I want to click on things to show you, but I don't want the time to take a lot. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you all have worked through the subspace morphic panel, so you know how this looks. But if you haven't, then what I'll do is when I will edit the video, I'm going to show you in here exactly how it looks, okay, and what to do next. Okay, thank you, and thank you for your patience. Okay, so we're going to close this and we are going to continue. So now we are going to go under sarcodes, okay, and under more anatomy. I will also work on the extremities, so we are supporting everything that is muscles, okay, so we can support the muscles of the back, we can support like the neck. If we go here, we can also we can support the lymph vessels, the lungs, okay. And I usually like to use the Hebrew alphabet, but this one is like opening yourself to the universe, like the universe accepting things. So usually I will work this out until we get a rectification of 100%. Okay, so we're going to close in here, and now we are going to spend quite some time in the spinal program. Okay, this is a wonderful program, and in this we can also double check how the chakra system is working. I would recommend to balance them out until you get a rectification of 100. Okay, especially I'll work on the crown chakra, okay, because we need to make sure that the mind is at peace when we're performing, and also the base chakra, because there is a saying in the medicine traditional medicine school that as is above is below. So if we're working the crown chakra, we also need to make sure that the base chakra is where it's performing, okay, or is balanced. The other thing is that usually when we have a project, the project starts in our mind, but to be able to materialize the things, the base chakra is the one that is able to make that out, okay. That's why we work this too. So we're gonna close in here. Under spore programs, we have a lot of support in here, and let me see. Okay, in here we are going to work on the oxygenation stimulation. We start and we click everything in this column and everything in this column until we get a rectification of 100, between 100 and 104. Then we will also do coordination stimulation. Next we will do flexibility stimulation. Then we will do mind and body focus. This one is very important. Also we will work with muscle building, and this one is my favorite. We're going to stim mental, visual, imaginary, because if we're not able to visualize or to imagine ourselves winning, then it's going to be really hard for your body to get there. As I mentioned previously, in our body, like everything works in a vertical way. So it starts in your spirit, then that information gets into your mind, and once it's in your mind, it will go through your body until it materializes, okay. So that's why it's very important to have like the mental balance to be able to achieve your goals and to be able to get to whatever you want to get, okay. So in here we are going to work on the coordination as well. We're going to work on memory. And why memory? Because your body needs to remember, right? Your body needs to remember how you feel every time that you're winning, and your body needs to remember exactly the right timing for you to hit the ball and the right timing for you to start running, okay? Willpower, because we need to make sure that your mind is there and your willpower is there to get where you need to get. Stability is always a plus, and your focus ability, okay? So you will select all of this, and depending on your time, you can decide to work one by one until you rectify everything, or you can click all of them and then work in here under warrior stim, okay, until you get a rectification of 100, between 100 and 104, okay. I know sometimes people will only click once and hope to get, if it's like above 85, they will be okay with that. So you can remember that all of these are suggestions, and you can always adapt this to your practice. And adapt it into a way where you feel comfortable with what you're doing. Okay, so while this is being activated in here, I'm going to take the time to go in here under body viewer to show you one of the panels that I love using when I'm supporting professional athletes. Okay, so this panel here, I don't know if you have used it or not, but if you see here, we have sport team therapy. So we can click in here. This panel is very it's very interesting. Right here you have like team orientation, but you also have like negative emotions that you can work out. And if you have, well, it is very important for you to have kind of like a conversation with the person you're supporting and kind of like navigate through what is it exactly that is affecting them, right? It is like the frustration burst, it is like the fear of failure, okay? Is that the desire to win is not there. Probably this person, it's been playing, I don't know, for 10, 15, whatever years, and now it's kind of like, well, is there like every single game is the same, right? So we need to reactivate the desire to win. Or probably this person recently undergo into negative experiences in their life, and now it's kind of like not, his focus is not there in winning. So we can work that out like in here, the negative emotions, and after that we can activate or reactivate the desire to win. Okay, so in here we can decide which one we as therapists perceive is the one that he's needing the most, and we can literally activate this to reduce the frustration. Okay, in here, because usually this is to support teams, usually what you do is that when you click here, you can also add in here like the name of the players. Okay, if you don't have if you don't know or you haven't used this panel before, I will ask you to let me know in the chat box so I can add the instructions into the final video. Okay, because I don't have the time right now to start like going in here. Okay, but in here again, you can go and activate the mental focus. If you see in here, we can also work the brain stability, so we can balance out the right and the left brain. We can also support in here mind-body coordination. Again, we can reduce the physical stress. We can reduce like the anxiety control that this affects the breathing, and because of the breathing, sometimes this can also affect the performance of the athletes. Okay, so usually once you have selected in here the option that you think he needs the most, or if you are pretty much like conducting multiple sessions with this athlete, I will encourage you to write down exactly the therapy that you have selected in here, so the next time you can balance out a different one. Okay, so in here again, you can select this is kind of like, for example, in here, if I click in here desire to win, and in here I will reduce the fear of failure, in here I can select a different one. So you can basically have like 3 to 4 different options to work at the same time. Okay, in the case that you have that you're supporting a team, you can click in here and actually add the faces or the pictures of the full body pictures of each one of the members of the team. So this program is going to support all of them. Okay, so we're going to closing this. Now we're going to go, we're going to go here into iridology, and in here I'm going to select like brain anatomy because right now we're focusing in everything that is mental to support this person. Okay, so we're going to close in here, and now we are going to go to the NLP panel. So let me just open this chart. Oh yes, I forgot to mention, like before going to the NLP panel, it's always a good practice to make sure to open the organ chart. So to open this with like this different panel, this is a hidden button. So usually you need to go here under original SAR code results, then close it and open the organ chart, even if you don't treat it. The reason why is because when you go to the NLP panel and you go here under mental factors and emotion chart, if you haven't done that, you're not able to make the emotion chart. Okay, so we're going to go here under value of emotion, value of neurotransmitters. We'll balance those, and now we click here make emotions chart. You can show this in here. I will recommend to treat always the bottom and top to balance, okay, until you get a rectification of 100. Then you can go here into the neurotransmitters, do the same. So because right now we're working on the chronic matrix, sometimes I don't have values in here that are above 100, so we need to use in here our logic, and depending on the metrics that you're working, you will decide what type of therapy are you going to activate in here. So because I do have things that are above 100, I will treat for the bottom and the top to balance. Okay, so we're going to close in here, and we're going to close in here. I will suggest you to do brain scan, balance this out, because we need the hypothalamus to be fully balanced and we need the brain to be in balance as well. So we're going to close in here. So right now, here under the spinal, we are going to work out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 10 different therapies, right? Because believe it or not, when we're talking about professional athletes, pretty much everything is about their mind and their emotions. So in here, we're going to go under therapies, and we're going to activate, build up self-image and release negativity, okay? Then we're going to treat delusion of self and restore positive true to self-image until we get a rectification of 100. Then we're going to go on their dispelled second brave wave and release possession or domination. Sometimes when our athletes are under stress, it kind of like feels that you are being possessed by, I don't know, like the other team players or your manager or the, whoever is like on top of you. Sometimes that can feel like a possession as well. And then the other thing that we are going to work on is in grief assistant, reduce sadness. In this case, kind of like we are supporting our athletes to easily kind of like overcome whether or not they're losing or winning, okay? So it's going, the way I like to think about this is that emotionally we tend to navigate kind of like at a very top or at a very low level. So sometimes when we feel bad, it's kind of like the worst, or when we are in the high, it's kind of like too high. So by working grief assistance, stabilization, and reduce sadness, what we're doing is that we are pretty much like reducing that gap. So we tend to navigate more kind of like in the middle. So if things go south, it's okay, you can recover like faster, and it's gonna take you less time to feel great again. And if things go super well, you're not gonna get like too much on your head, okay? So because of that, grief assistance and stabilization to reduce sadness is very, very important when we're supporting like professional athletes. Okay, the other one is a higher purpose alignment, okay? And this is going to allow an athlete to pretty much like have realistic established self goals, okay? In here, in this case, we'll do exactly the same. We're going to work this out until we get a rectification of 100, okay? The other thing in here that is very important is to work on joint hemispheres to know true self. Again, in here, we're just balancing out like the brain, but in a way that is going to allow us to kind of like to feel better in your own body, and also it's going to allow you to remove those negative pretty much information or negative vision that you have about your own body. That, believe it or not, there is a lot of professional athletes that although they will have like, the super power or Superman body, sometimes they feel like, oh, probably, I don't know, I don't have enough muscles, or I'm not strong enough, I'm not fast enough, because they're, imagine the pressure that they're on when you are like in a team where everybody, like all the bodies that you look around look like Superman or Jean-Claude Van Damme. So I think like they are in a higher pressure to always compare their bodies and their abilities with the people that are around them, okay? So because of this, this one, joint hemispheres to know true self, is very, very important. The other one that we need to work on is the open mind therapy to reduce false illusions, okay? So this one, then we have obsession release and reduce worry, okay? And the other one that I always recommend is treat fear and paranoia, okay? Sometimes there is a saying that I always like to consider, and it's whatever you put your mind, you are pretty much like tracing the path for your body to get there. This is like the kind of like the reverse way of manifesting. So if you're constantly fearing that you're going to lose, like basically what you have always in your mind is losing, and guess what? Your body is going to follow that path and follow that the path, the journey to achieve whatever you have in your mind. So because of that, we can work in here, treat fear and paranoia. The other thing that is always a good idea to work is under mental factors plus the emotion chart. We can go here and type fear of failure and success, okay? And then we can go under the unconscious reactivity and type in here the age of the athlete that we're working on, or if you're working with a team, you can type in here the number of years that the team's been performing as well. In this case, I don't know, I'm going to write down, I'm helping a professional athlete right now that is 18, so I'm going to type in 18, and then we click start. And it's quite interesting to see the things that comes out in here, because sometimes you're going to see like traumas detected at the first or at the beginning of gestation, like in their childhood. And then you will also see here that they have like conflicts with mom or with dad, or there's other people involved in the whole like winning or losing situation. So by clearing that out in here in the NLP panel, we actually are able to pretty much deactivate or I will say release those traumas. Those are kind of like mental traumas that are affecting the biological body to perform and to get the results of winning the game, okay? So in here, we will literally rectify the emotional side and also the physical side until you get like 100% before going on to the next screens, okay? So we're going to hide in here. Let me check. Okay, this is pretty much it. So we're going to close in here. Under special therapies, you can also work here like the spiritual connection. Okay, let me see here. If the person has like a lot of anxiety, you can also work that out under the special AVRX. Okay, so we're gonna close in here. And then the other thing that I want to share with you is that we have the class portal, and in the class portal we can also support professional athletes in different ways. So we can reduce the stress in spine, we can relax the mind, we can relax the vision, and we can also do release lead potential. Okay, so with this I conclude the presentation today. So I'm going to, let me see if I can do this. Okay, I'm going to open the microphones right now, so if you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, so right now you're able to unmute yourself. You can ask me questions, or you can also share any information through the chat box. Okay, so we have like 10 more minutes. Okay, so I don't see any movement. No questions. Okay,
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Just through your presentations, that it's almost like you have a roadmap of what you're going to do. Do you beforehand kind of go through and chart out where you're going to work?
Yes, well, I have different ways of working. For example, with sport athletes, I kind of like went in through all the panels of the system, and I look exactly where are the things and what are the things that I feel are going to support this type of person for that specific this is for the specific purpose of winning. Okay, so for example, I will say like the therapy will take a different road if like we were supporting injuries. Okay, so for example, if we were supporting injuries, then I will do, it's going to look totally different. Like we're going to work in here probably the pain, the inflammation. In that case, I'll follow like the matrix or follow the system leads, right? The system will provide hints of what are the things that we need to do. For example, if we need to detox, for example, if we need to go in here under the injuries panel, right? Then it will look totally different. Okay, I don't know if that answers your question, V. So depending on the client that I'm working on, I usually, before before we meet, I always have kind of like 5 minutes with them, and I ask them exactly what is it that they want to work on. So in this case, for professional athletes, I had a questionnaire, and I asked them like, okay, do we have like a sport injury, or it's kind of like a mental thing? And based on their answers, I like to pretty much have some notes for myself with the specific panels that I want to make sure that I hit throughout that session. So for example, in here, you'll see like I have I want to make sure that I have time to visit the Super Warrior in Sport program. In here, I want to make sure that I balance all the chakras. So I do have a roadmap of everything that I feel like it's going to support this person, to make sure that I allow myself to make enough time to visit every one of those panels. Okay?
Yes, that is exactly what I was wanting to get the answer for.
Yes. Okay, you're welcome. Perfect. So let me see. Okay. I don't know if there are no more questions, so I will thank you, all of you, for joining me today in this presentation. You can always send me questions later through the Facebook Gales group, and as soon as I have some time, I will get back to you. Okay? So we're going to close in here. So thank you very much.
Thank
Have
you.
a wonderful rest of your day.